First things first, Odell's run in Cleveland appears to be ending today. Will a Super Bowl contender come calling for services? We'll toss that around. LeBron's on the shelf for a week or so. Are the Lakers in serious trouble without the Kang? They appear to be. And should Jordan Love have Patrick Mahomes on upset alert? Good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome to a fantastic show. We have so much going on today. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Kevin Wild. You nervous, Nick? You a little nervous?
Oh, no.
Jordan Love, Patrick
No, the
Mahomes.
only thing I was nervous about, to be honest, was Kevin Wildes is cross-country, and sometimes he gets locked out of his office when it's across the street. So I'm just happy to see Wildes this morning. I'm very happy that he made it in. It's 3 in the morning in Los Angeles. I'm very happy to see him. Very happy.
I second that.
I'm not sure he wanted anyone to know where he was. Now the flood of calls will come in for lunch today. Start in Cleveland, though. Big news. The latest on Odell, though he may not be in Cleveland much longer. We learned late last night the drama hath runneth over. The Browns are planning on releasing the 3-time Pro Bowl receiver after a week of off-field distractions, after a couple of seasons now of unproductive play. The numbers weren't there, the flash wasn't there, and the Baker-OBG connection that we were all sold was not there either. Odell came to Cleveland back in 2019 with so much hype, but things never quite clicked, whether it was injuries or a poor connection with Baker. Just 7 touchdowns in 29 games as a Cleveland Brown compared to his best season as a Giant. Pretty glaring fall off. One other note, kind of a big one, because it's me delivering the news. Happy 29th birthday today, OBJ. It's definitely going to be an interesting one for you. So, Nick, I'll start with you. What was the biggest reason the Baker-Odell experiment did not work in Cleveland?
Well, neither side was invested in it working, and so it was never going to work. I think Odell is an excellent football player. I think he is at times his own worst enemy, and from the moment Odell got traded to Cleveland, he had a bit of a wandering eye. He did not want to be with the Giants anymore, but he did not necessarily want to go to Cleveland. Now, there was a time, particularly early last season, when it looked like it could work. And then, unfortunately, and some would say ironically, Odell got hurt, not on a catch, not on a route, but trying to make a tackle after Baker underthrew him, and he blew out his knee, and from that moment forward, this was somewhat doomed. And so Odell could have done more, but the flip side of this is Baker clearly was not invested in this working either. Baker is not a dumb man. He's actually a very smart man. Baker knew that this week was the trade deadline. Baker knew that Odell had felt underutilized. And in the final game before the deadline, in a game where the team was desperate for points, Odell had 2 passes thrown his way. The official stats, by the way, say he only had 1 target, but he definitely had 2 because he caught 1, and then there's the one we keep showing the highlight of where Baker misses him over the middle on what could have been a big play. And it's not like the Browns-Chargers game, Broussard, where Odell was a non-factor, but the Browns scored 40 points. Browns scored 10 points in this game, and they did not prioritize getting Odell involved to try to win the game. So I think both sides are at fault. I also think this is a situation where both sides can be better off because of it. So I think both parties work to this not working, and both parties are probably glad it's now finally mercifully over.
I disagree, Nick. I disagree that they weren't invested. I understand OBJ, he's a big personality. He wanted to be in a big city, whether obviously he wanted out of the Giants, but he loved the New York big city, San Francisco, L.A. Those were places he had his eyes on. And I get Cleveland's not that. But I do think he was invested in trying to be, a great football player. And I know you're not saying he wasn't. But I think Baker was definitely invested. Like, why if I'm Baker Mayfield and I'm going to a team with Odell Beckham Jr. as my receiver, I'm overjoyed. So I do think he was invested in making it work. I think, look, this isn't the sexiest answer. It's not the juiciest answer. But to me, this didn't work mainly because OBJ was injured. Simple as that. His first year in Cleveland, 2019, with Baker, he caught 74 passes for more than 1,000 yards. Now, I know that's not up to his standards for his first 3 years with the Giants, but that's a darn good season with Freddie Kitchens as the coach, no less. So if Kevin Stefanski's in there, I think he may even have a bigger year. The Browns were one of only 5 teams that year to have 2 wide receivers with 1,000 or more yards. So I think that worked. Then the next season, last year, the 6 games that OBJ was healthy, they went 4-2. That's working. I get it that they went on the tear, and Baker especially, without Odell. But they were 4-2, 5-2 if you count the game he got hurt in with OBJ. They beat a Dallas team with Dak Prescott, and Odell had 3 touchdowns in that game. One was a pass from Jarvis Landry. One was a 50-yard run, and then he caught a touchdown pass from Baker. And they also beat Indianapolis, which made the playoffs that year. So I think it's just been injuries. And that is the main reason. I get it. Baker's not an elite quarterback, so he's missed OBJ at times, hadn't hit him when he's open at times. But the main thing, Wilds, is that OBJ, for the most part, was not healthy.
All right, so injuries are certainly part of it, right, Broussard? But I think it's chemistry. And to illustrate this point, I'll tell you a little story. It's an old comedy bit based on the magazines that come out with, like, top heart surgeons in America. And the bit goes, if there's 3 top heart surgeons in America, that means there's 3 bottom heart surgeons in America, and they've got appointments this afternoon. So the reason I like that story is it illustrates the fact that that if you're going to compliment people for being great, there has to be a flip side. And Nick, we talk so much about special quarterback wide receiver connections. Tom Brady and Gronk, tight end, Tom Brady and AB with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. This is the opposite of that. This is the other side of the coin. This connection never worked. If we can show the stat here on how good Baker is throwing to other people. Do I think he didn't like Odell? No. Do I think that Odell's injuries were part of it? Probably. Do I think the main factor is, hey, the way that you kind of play football and the way that I play football don't quite match up. And this is probably too long coming. This release should have happened much earlier. But I think bottom line, this has been a chemistry issue since day one.
Well, I think there's one other factor here, and Wild, stay with me on this if you would. What quarterback in the league is most secure in his position with his team and his position in history?
Oh, that's good.
Who is it?
Yeah. Well, the GOAT.
Brady.
It's Tom Brady, right? And what is the point that you have made all year about Brady, Wilds? That he is so secure and so confident, he's playing a game within the game. He's like, oh, okay, let me get this guy involved. Let me get this guy involved. Okay, Godwin hasn't had a catch this half. Let's target him in the end zone, or Mike Evans, whomever, right? One could argue the quarterback who right now is, I don't know if he's the least settled, but one of them is the #1 overall pick of the draft who won a playoff game last year, who is still waiting for a contract. And I do wonder that if Baker had gotten his contract, if he would have been more comfortable early in the year saying, you know what, let's nurture this relationship. Let me check out of a play and run one of those bubble screens that Brandon was always talking about, wide receivers wanting to start the game. Let me, instead of taking the easy read, let me force it a little to Odell because I want this thing to grow. Instead, Baker all year has played under the specter of, I got to get that new deal. And the way I'm going to get the new deal is winning. The way I'm going to get that new deal is just, I have to be laser focused on one thing as opposed to kind of being able to multitask like great quarterbacks do. And I do wonder, Wilds, that if Baker's long-term future in Cleveland was more secure, if he would have been able to better nurture that relationship and try to build that chemistry, as opposed to doing what he's most comfortable with, which is, let me throw to tight ends, let me throw to the running back, let me throw to my first read. I don't want to sit here and wait for Odell's double move to develop down the field when I might not even have the arm strength to get it to him. I do think that is an underlying factor of this as well.
Well, I think that's a great point. And Broussard, I think the tangential point to that is that maybe the Browns offense has never been explosive enough to allow Baker to do that. Maybe Stefanski should have opened this thing up so there is chances to not necessarily throw away a play, but you know what? We'll get him next time. I think when Tom Brady feeds the ball to people, it's like, well, if this one doesn't work out, I know I can get him on third down. We saw last night during the blowout, Carson Wentz like, you know what? Time to throw the ball to my center. Once you have a little bit of a lead, you can start making people happy. The whole offensive line celebrates. All of a sudden, Carson Wentz is a hero. So I do think the person that's probably getting the least scrutiny here is Stefanski. I know he wasn't there for the whole tenure, but he deserves some scrutiny here for not making the Browns offense explosive enough.
You get blamed.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now they're primarily a running team. They're the best running team in the league. So that's going to be their bread and butter. But Wiles, I want to go back to your last point because I do think it makes sense. And I said this when OBJ got hurt last year. I thought Baker would be better without Odell. And I'm not putting it on Odell, but I think Odell's celebrity, his outsized personality, his popularity with everybody, not only in the locker room, but around the league, I think that intimidated Baker Mayfield. And it would intimidate a lot of young quarterbacks. It is a slight negative for Baker in that his personality wasn't strong enough to be like, look, I'm the guy, and I'm not going to be intimidated by this guy. But I feel like he felt like he had to get the ball to OBJ because he's a celebrity. And I think he liked OBJ. And I think he tried to force it to him. And maybe this year, even though OBJ leads him in targets, there may have been an overcompensation of, well, let me just
I think there was an overcorrection.
Go through my reads.
There was definitely, especially once they started losing.
The other way.
Correct. Once they started losing, Baker did not want to throw interceptions. And if you're throwing to the running back, if you're throwing to the tight end, those are safe throws. If you're throwing to Odell on a double move when Odell might freelance a bit, you open yourself up to mistake. And I think there was definite overcompensation, Broussard. Jenna, I think he makes a great point.
So the question now becomes where, if released today, would Odell end up? We will discuss that coming up in a little bit. We got to talk about this game, though. Carson Wentz and the Colts, they avoided an upset last night. How'd they do it? We'll tell you next. First things first on a Friday. Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor taking care of business last night. We just saw it. Helped the Colts avoid an upset. 3 touchdown passes for Wentz. $172 on the ground and 2 TDs for Taylor. How about that? All right, Broussard. Indy did their job last night, but which team should be on upset alert in Week 9?
Well, look, I wish the Knicks Falcons weren't favored, or I'd pick them. I mean, that's an easy win every week. I was right last week on the upset alert. He mocked me, but I was right. I am going to shock people, though, I believe. I'm going with Cincinnati. And I know all the turmoil that is going on in Cleveland. I understand that the Bengals are coming about as bad of a loss as there could be, right? You lose to the Jets, who are horrific. And the Jets with Mike White, who, while maybe he'll be something special down the road, was a 5th-round draft pick from a scout team, all right, in Dallas. And they're going to want to revitalize their season. I get all that. But oftentimes, calamity or adversity, whatever you want to call it, can really get a team recharged, at least for a week or two. Okay? We saw how Las Vegas responded to the John Gruden issue. We've seen how Green Bay, losing his top 3 receivers, losing players on the defensive end, their defensive coordinator, they go out and beat the top team in the league in Arizona. We even saw this Cleveland team last year in the playoffs respond to their head coach being out with COVID. And they go and beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So I believe that all of this stuff going on in Cleveland, coupled with the fact that the Browns really need a win, is going to lead them to play a strong football game. And I'm putting the Bengals, Nick, on upset alert.
It's not a bad take. I'm going to squeeze in a bonus take just because we showed those Jets-Colts highlights. Worst case scenario for the Jets last night. Mike White plays well, gets hurt. Why is it the worst case scenario? Because now America didn't get to see the inevitable Mike White fall from grace. And now he's just going to be hanging over poor Zach Wilson. Mike White was not going to be this next great quarterback, but we never got to see it. So now everyone's going to be clamoring for Mike White. It's just terrible for the Jets. Here's the upset alert, though. It is those Atlanta Falcons over the New Orleans Saints, Broussard. I said write it in blood. Write it in blood, I said. The Falcons would get to 4-4. Well, they're 3-4. Dusty's in my ear. He's saying I guaranteed the Falcons would get to 5-3, not 4-4. Prove it, Dusty.
Yeah.
4-4 is what I said. They're going to get there this week.
We get
and
the
America, I'm telling you right now, America, Taysom Hill, you get to bet against Taysom Hill laying almost a touchdown. Oh my God. Opportunities like this they come up once in a lifetime. Taysom Hill laying 6.5 points. Oh, sweet, sweet nectar of the gods. Give me that free money. Atlanta plus the 6.5. Atlanta, I'm almost doing Nick's picks already. Atlanta upset over the New Orleans Saints with the Taysom cosplaying quarterback situation. Let's go, Wilds.
Okay, so your old buddy Kevin Wilds was on an upset alert hot streak for a few weeks. Got a little over his skis.
You got cocky.
Yeah, picked Lions over Eagles. Got ugly. So what do? Do I lick my wounds and fly back from Las Vegas? Or do I just go to the ATM and call my bank and ask for a marker and say I need to get it back right now? I'm going that way. Yeah. Bills, Jacksonville. The line is 14, up to 14 and a half.
No.
Now, I'm not saying this is an outright win. This is not called outright win alert. It's just called upset alert. They should be on alert. Here's why. First of all, we need something out of Trevor Lawrence. We've shown more Trevor Lawrence pro day video on this show than we have highlights in the NFL. True story. We looked it up. Reason number 2, the Bills. Little lackadaisical. They looked at their schedule and said, we're the Bills. Let's take it easy. Let's relax. Let's lean back in this chair. We got a bye week. We got the Dolphins. We got Jacksonville. We got the Jets. Came out very slow against the Dolphins. Was tied 3-3 at halftime at home. Now they're going to Jacksonville. Last little point, and I believe in this. The Manning curse. Not the Madden curse. Not the Sports Illustrated curse. The Manning curse. Every time a player goes on the Manning cast, that player loses the next game. Kelsey, you didn't even know who he's playing. Russ, Gronk, Stafford, and Brady. Well, guess who was on last week? Josh Allen, Jenna. Not the Josh Allen from the Jaguars, the Josh Allen from the Bills.
I was going to say it. Yeah.
So, putting the Bills on upset alert.
Can I ask a question quickly?
Gonna get it all back today.
Wow.
Go ahead,
Did the Bills get to make their own schedule?
I know.
They played the Texans and Dolphins already. Last week they played the Dolphins again. This week they play the Jags, and next week they play the Jets. Like, where was this schedule available to the rest of the league? They go Dolphins, Jags, Jets for 3 weeks in the middle of their season? How the hell did that happen, Jenna? Who let this? What is happening? Dolphins, Jags, Jets. Okay, that's nice. Good for you guys.
Only slight behind them, an easier
AFC
schedule,
East.
the Bucs right now. Hey, we got to get back to our top story. Odell's expected release from the Cleveland Browns. Which guy will be better off after the split, Baker or OBJ? It's a fun conversation. We're going to have it next. First things first. Good.
Yeah.
Talk some Packers Chiefs now. Big news in this one. Aaron Rodgers out after testing positive for COVID. Jordan Love is in. He gets his first career start. Mahomes said not going up against Rodgers is, quote, definitely disappointing. Nonetheless, time to find out what Jordan Love can do. Mike Vick knows a thing or two about quarterbacking. Joins us now to talk about this one. Michael Vick, will Jordan Love lead the Packers to an upset win over Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs?
It all remains to be seen. I tell you what, I'm excited about this matchup. I'm excited to see Jordan Love, probably just as excited as the Green Bay Packers are to see what they got in this guy. And it's been a long time coming. Like I said, I'm excited. You know, this is not a Trey Lance situation or a Justin Fields situation where, you know, young guys get thrown into the fire and we expect excellence. You know, we expected those guys to have some ups and downs. For Jordan Love, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for the last 2 years, one of the greatest quarterbacks the game has ever seen, this is his moment. You know, I expect Aaron Rodgers type of numbers. I expect them to win this game against a wounded Kansas City team. So, you know, I mean, this is his time. This is his moment. And like I say, I'm probably just as excited as the Green Bay Packers to see what they have in Jordan Love. But, you know, like I said, it's been a long time coming. You know, I remember my first start when in 2001, I set for 13 games. And when I finally stepped into the fold, I was ready to go. So I do not expect him to look like a rookie. I do not expect him to look like, you know, he has no competence of the offense or feel for the game. And, you know, I expect him to pick up where Aaron Rodgers has left off. Not being Aaron Rodgers or putting him in that realm, but as far as the success factor, you know, being in that echelon.
And so Vic thinks the Packers can win, will win. I have a confession to make here. It is just between us all together. I'm incredibly nervous. I know that that is not on brand for me when it comes to the Chiefs. And here's why I'm incredibly nervous. Because just like the Giants game, the Chiefs season now is on the line, and it wouldn't have been if Rodgers was playing. If Rodgers was playing, there are a lot of ways for the Chiefs to play well, lose, and feel okay. 4-5 is not great, but that 7th spot in the AFC playoffs is going to be wide open all year. So you wouldn't be dead, especially with the Raiders coming up next, chance to get a divisional win against the team in first place. But now that Rodgers isn't playing and the Chiefs are touchdown favorites, it becomes a game they have to win. Broussard, just like the Giants game, was a game they had to win. And I felt like the Chiefs in the Giants game felt that, and they did not play Kansas City Chiefs football. They played not to lose. They had a plan. They were executing the plan for approximately 7 minutes, and then it went sideways when Mahomes threw the pass that went off Jerick McKinnon's helmet in the end zone, turned the ball over, bad luck, and then they started pressing. And they absolutely could have lost that game that they had no business losing. Because this is an unknown, because Jordan Love has been something of a punchline almost, because the Packers have to feel, you know, as carefree as they have felt in any game all year, all of that makes me anxious. That this could be one, it feels like it's back-to-back playoff games, but only Broussard, the downside of it. There's no upside to it. They beat the Giants, they got pilloried for it because they didn't play well enough. If they beat the Packers, the only upside is in the win column. If they lose, it's hard to say this team's all of a sudden going to go 6-1 over the next 7 and make a playoff push. So I'm nervous. I think the Chiefs will win. I think they should win. But I have no idea if Jordan Love's good. How am I supposed to know if Jordan Love's good? No clue. Haven't seen him since Utah State. And one last confession, I didn't watch a lot of Utah State when Jordan Love was there. Not exactly my big Saturday appointment viewing. So I'm anxious. I am more anxious than I would like to be about this football game, Broussard.
All right, I'm going to address you in a minute, Nick, but I got to throw this to Mike Vick quickly. Did Brian Gutekunst call you and promise you a job in the front office if you made that statement, Mike? I mean, Jordan Love to put up Aaron Rodgers numbers? Come on, my man.
No, hey, Chris. I only say that because you're sitting behind the greatest quarterback the game has ever seen, one of the greatest quarterbacks the game has ever seen. So it's really no excuse. Look, all due respect to Chris Chandler, I sat behind Chris Chandler and I learned a lot. This man sitting behind Aaron Rodgers in a great system. There's no reason why he shouldn't go out and put up big numbers.
Wow. All right, well, look, I don't think Jordan Love is a Michael Vick, but hey, we'll see. Maybe I'll stand corrected. Now to you, Nick, it pains me to say this, my man. I had to say it to Wilds a few weeks ago when he jumped off the Mac Jones bandwagon. I let him back on. You've now jumped off the Chiefs bandwagon.
See, what are you?
I mean, you serious?
The bandwagon.
I have not.
Because here's the thing, Nick.
I have not.
If they lose, you know what? If they lose this game, Nick, then forget the Chiefs. I mean, then they're not good enough. That's all there is to it.
That's my point.
Falling off.
That's
but
my point.
They can't.
That's why I'm anxious.
They will not lose this game. They better not lose this game. Because like I said, if they do, they're done. All right, they should be at the bottom of the tiers next week. They gotta win. And I get the things you said, but just as much as the Packers feel relief and they can go out there and they're playing with house money, the Chiefs are desperate. They are absolutely desperate, and I think they're made of the right stuff. All right, I don't think these last 3 years have been flukish or anything like that. They're made of the right stuff. I think they go out there and they take care of business against Jordan Love, who I did watch a little bit at Utah State. You got nothing to worry about, Nick. Trust me. Wilds?
That you did not.
I caught a highlight here and there. A highlight here and there.
Like, hey, honey, clear out the Saturday. Utah State versus Marshall. Okay, I also have a confession to make. I think Mahomes is still pretty good. I know we rip him on this show a lot, and I think he comes out of this weekend, Nick, he's going to beat some team. He's either going to beat the Packers or beat the Chiefs. One or the other. He's going to come out with a W in some sort of weird way. But, Mike, that's my question. It feels like the Packers can't beat the Chiefs unless Patrick Mahomes goes on another one of his interception sprees. And the odd part of Mahomes' interceptions are they're not like Jameis's interceptions were in Tampa Bay, which I'll use that as the bottom point of interceptions. Where, like, you throw it up like, hopefully someone gets that on my team. These interceptions develop in the pocket, where Nick will say it bounced off a guy's face mask, but also, and this is just basketball rules, he was jumping 2 feet off the ground over a lineman to throw the ball. Now, I am not an NFL quarterback like you were. That doesn't seem to be the most fundamental way to play football. He also had a few interceptions where he's in the grasp going down and heaves it up very Favrean. So the question for you is this. Can Mahomes just get back to basics and realize I should just stay here, keep my feet on the ground, don't throw anything sidearm, don't throw anything jumping. If I'm falling down, take the sack. Do you think he can play that way, or does that limit his creativity and ends up hurting him as a player?
No, absolutely. I think Patrick Mahomes can get back to playing at a high level, especially after winning the game last week. Even if it didn't look the way they wanted it to look or went the way they wanted it to go. You know, Patrick still has the skill set, you know, in the pocket now. He's getting hit a little more, so he just has to stop flinching a little bit. And sometimes you can start to see ghosts or feel ghosts around you. And that's a real thing in the pocket. Just got to get back to playing, you know, complimentary football. And look, man, Odell Beckham is going to be on the market at some point. You know, this might be the guy who can fill the void for Sammy Watkins. But in terms of, you know, Patrick just playing within himself, you know, not playing outside of the framework of the offense, just do what Andy asks you to do, and hopefully he'll get some protection. I think that can lead to a victory this Sunday over the Packers.
So Vic's answer to your question, Wilds, his first words were the most important. He said, I think he can get back to playing great football. What you're describing is a Patrick Mahomes that we've never seen. And this I won't, everyone always did the whole, Patrick Mahomes, get back to not throwing sidearmed, not doing things outside of the structure of the offense. Where'd he do that at? Never with the Chiefs, never at Texas Tech. I actually did watch some of his high school clips once the Chiefs got him. Not at high school neither. So this is, who's the NBA guy we always compare Patrick to? Steph Curry. If Steph Curry goes through a terrible shooting slump, it would be silly to be like, hey, Steph, get back to shooting the mid-range. He's like, bruh, get back to that. Never done that. That's not my game.
We're talking turnover.
So
But we're talking Trevor. It's more like Russ right now.
Nick.
I
It's a different. It's a totally
Go
different
ahead,
story when you get hit and get knocked around. Trust me.
No, of course. No. I get that. And I do think he is jittery in the pocket. I do think that is a thing. I'm not disagreeing with you. But the point I am making is, what I don't like is, what made Patrick Mahomes was the unbelievable plays he could make that no one else could make. I do not want him to try to take that out of his game. What is the play? To me, wild. And I'm sorry, I just got to say this. The Super Bowl play to me that sticks out in my mind more than just about anything is the play where he is hit, he is falling sideways, and he throws a bullet to the end zone that hits Tyreek Hill in the face mask, and Tyreek Hill drops it. That is a crazy throw to make, but he can make them. The turnover luck will regress. The one thing I agree with you on is he does need to know, like he did in the final play of the Giants game, a sack is not the worst thing possible, but the off-platform, bad mechanics throws is what he's always done. I don't want him to change that, Jenna.
Okay.
All right, well, you mentioned Steph Curry. Let's talk some basketball. Lakers back in action last night without LeBron. Is LA in trouble without the King? Certainly looked that way. Asked and answered next. First things first. First things first, Thunder Lakers. Why would we mention a regular season game against two mismatched teams? Because they might not be mismatched. You saw LeBron. Oh, I'm looking at LeBron. He's got a nice jacket on, but it's not a uniform. No LeBron. Found out yesterday he's out for at least a week with an abdominal injury. So AD, Russ, and Melo, the new big three, maybe? All three went for 20-plus. But how about the Lakers? They blew a 19-point lead as the Thunder came back to beat them. Again, that's now twice in the last week. The LeBron-less Lakers have blown a victory to OKC. Lakers are just the fifth team in the last 25 years to lose multiple games to the same opponent after holding a 19-point lead in each one. How about that? And we're only 9 games in. So Broussard, between the loss and LeBron's injury, how concerned should Lakers fans be right now?
Jenna, they should be very concerned. Not about the loss. I really don't care about the loss. Anything that happens without LeBron or AD on the floor is irrelevant. Because for them to win it, those two have to be on the floor. And if they're healthy, anything you see without them, it doesn't matter. So I'm not worried about the loss. But I would be very concerned as a Laker fan about LeBron's injury. Not that it's a very serious injury, but this is age. All right, LeBron has fought off Father Time better than any player in the history of basketball, at least as far as staying at or near your peak. We've never seen this, but he is in his 19th season. He has played 8,000 plus minutes more than anyone else in today's NBA. The next highest guy, Carmelo Anthony, and we all look at Carmelo as old. LeBron is the all-time leader in playoff games. It equals more than 3 regular seasons worth of playoff games that he has played. This is age. LeBron doesn't even know how he hurt himself. Just happened at some point in the fourth quarter against Houston. That's what happens when you get old. You don't have to get run over. You don't have to get tripped. You don't have to, have somebody fall on your ankle, as Nick would say about Solomon Hill. You just wake up sometimes.
Into it.
Dang, what was that? Like, it just happens, all right? And I'm not saying LeBron is out, for most of this season. But this concerns me. Look, 3 of his 4 seasons, if you count this one, in L.A., he's been injured fairly regularly. And
That's
the
correct.
one season he got through, Nick, they had a 4-month hiatus.
Had the stoppage.
So I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about this.
And listen, there aren't a lot of things that I just 100% defer to Broussard on, but how older people's bodies feel randomly, Broussard is clearly the expert on. So when he says old guys, like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, my back. I'm like, he's probably right. So here's the thing. This is, Broussard, you laugh at me and you think that I'm joking when we talk about Jordan and I say he's unquestionably one of the 3 greatest players ever. People say that's me taking a shot at Michael. And it's not me taking a shot at Michael. It is me trying to pay proper respect to Kareem. And the reason I bring up Kareem is because Kareem played the most minutes of anyone ever. Only time he ever got hurt was when he punched Kurt Benson in the face and broke his hand. Kareem's final year in the league, he played 74 of the 82 games. His last few years, he averaged 78 games a season. It's just, Karl Malone did something similar, but Karl Malone's not in the echelon of these guys as great as he was. It's just not possible to play this long. The minutes are off the charts. 50,000 regular season, 11,000 playoffs.
Right.
So that's 61,000 plus minutes. Context, Michael Jordan played 36,000 minutes total with the Chicago Bulls in the regular season. Another 7,000 in the playoffs, so right around 43. So it's almost 50% more minutes LeBron has played than Jordan, if you don't count the Wizards years, and nobody counts the Wizards years because Jordan didn't make the playoffs, so we're not allowed to count it. And Wilds, yeah, it's concerning. Because once upon a time, LeBron James could get maimed by Draymond Green on what would have been the greatest dunk ever, literally break his wrist and say, wrist, reattach. Do it, and then go hit the free throw to win the greatest championship in the history of the sport. Yeah, yep. He could Wolverine it. We have heard David Griffin tell the stories that in a playoff game, he saw LeBron's ankle touch the ground. LeBron went back to the locker room. David Griffin said, "Are you all right?" He said, "Do I have any other choice?" Tightened up the sneakers, went out and played. That he can no longer do. And I don't think he's going to be out a week. I think he's going to be out longer than a week. And so he's never missed a playoff game ever. You have to hope that is still the case. And I think the Lakers win the title if LeBron James is healthy. But if LeBron James is healthy, used to not be an if. It now is. And that's not an indictment on him. This is why 5 years before Jordan got to this level, he retired to the golf course because he knew his body couldn't take it. Guys' bodies can't take it. Kareem's could. He's the only one. And so, yeah, they should be concerned.
But Nick,
60,000 minutes, 60,000 minutes.
And quickly before Wilds, you're right about Kareem as his longevity, but his last several years, he was not anywhere near his peak performance.
Correct.
LeBron is still,
right. And he wasn't playing as many minutes.
What he used to
That's
be.
correct.
Right. That's the difference.
In different position, all that, but he wasn't getting hurt is the point. But you're right, he wasn't doing as much. Go ahead, Watts.
Right.
So I think LeBron should take a significant amount of time off. I think with already this early into the season that he's gone down for 2 separate injuries, Broussard, makes me think we should start, or he should start treating himself like a starting pitcher. Like, yeah, I probably could go out on 3 days rest, but I probably need a little bit more time. This is my load management. It can be Kawhi-esque, and there's a reason why Carmelo looks so good. Well, Carmelo had a year off. I also think if the vaccination rules get rolled back in New York, Kyrie is going to look good. You know why? Because he's getting some time off. I don't think Kyrie's body's built for 82. So I don't think he should take minutes down. I don't think he should change the style of play. I think he should look around and sort of revolutionize load management, and avoid the slings and arrows that Kawhi took, because I think LeBron has earned enough trust and didn't have sort of the ugliness with the Spurs.
Yeah,
like, hey, here's my plan. I want to be 100% for the playoffs.
And theoretically, that's one of the reasons you trade for Russ. So LeBron can be extra cautious with any nick and bruise, and you win games. The problem is, the 2 games LeBron's missed, they've lost to Poku and Giddey and the Thunder. So, I agree, but you got to win the games against the terrible teams if this is going to be the plan.
Fair.
You got to do that, Jenna. I mean, you got to actually win some games.
Nick is just swimming in objectivity between the Chiefs and what they got with Mahomes and LeBron. I'm impressed, for one. I'm impressed with you today, Nick. I really am.
Bandwagons.
He is. No, he's not. He's in it. Time for Nick's picks. All right, take us through what happened last week, Nick.
All right, we promised you a 2-in-1 week. We delivered you a 2-in-1 week. Unfortunately, that locks line is ugly. We're going to fix that. But we promised you we were going to get it back going. We delivered a winning week. Damn, pick 6 at the end, Adrian Wilson. Before I give you the picks this week, one line. Be careful, America. Arizona at San Francisco. You look at it, that's the old too good to be true. Arizona getting points at San Francisco. Check the injury reports. We don't know if Kyler's playing. Stay far, far away from that game. Here we go. Guys, we like trends. There's a trend going on right now.
Let's go.
That trend is Kevin Wild's upset picks are terrible. Bills, minus 14. We're laying the 14. Let's go there, Wilds. I found out who you were going with. I said, let's go Oppo-Boppo on Kevin Wilds. The Bills played terrible last week. They still won by 15 points. The Bills are in this weird part of their schedule that we call the entire season, where they just play awful teams. Hey, let's play Miami. Let's play Jacksonville. Next week, who do the Bills have? Oh, it's the Jets. Must be nice to be the Bills. Lay the 14, get the win. All right, Cowboys, we're laying another big number. Cowboys, minus 10. Are they the best team in football? The tiers say they are. Dak Prescott, guaranteed he's playing. Meanwhile, how do you think things are going in the Broncos locker room? Hey, guys, we're going to make the playoffs. See you, Vaughn. Don't worry about it. We don't need you. They're miserable. They're upset. The management gave up on them. Cowboys, minus 10. Let's do it. And now we've got to get a lock. Folks, we have to get a lock. And if you have to win a bet, betting against Taysom Hill is a great place to start. Saints Falcons plus 6.5. I think they could win outright. They certainly can cover. Oh, bad pick. Okay, we'll see. Doyle Brunson, right now, at 80-some years old, is playing in the World Series of Poker. Text me last night. Who we going with, Nick? Now, I think it might be because Doyle's going to go Oppo on me. Doyle, stick with me for one more week, legend. You're going to win the World Series of Poker, and we're going to win this lock of the week. Falcons, plus 6.5, lock of the week. Look at these beautiful picks. If this doesn't go 3-0, Dusty's fired. Guaranteed. There it is, 3-0. Bills, Cowboys, Falcons, lock it in.
Just for the record, I'm out in LA to fire Dusty because I called the Chargers the San Diego Chargers. So that's reason one. Reason number two, just go the opposite way on Saints Falcons. We know how good the Saints defense is. Shut down Tom Brady, shut down Aaron Rodgers, shut down Mac Jones. Matt Ryan's not going to be able to do anything. It's not a Taysom Hill story. It's a Saints defense story. I want you to get these locks right, but that one's wrong. I'm sorry.
Falcons going to get to 500 like your buddy promised. Your buddy is
eventually.
You promised it.
Talk some Carson Wentz and the Colts. They avoided an upset last night against the Jets. How'd they do it? We'll tell you next. First things first. Time now for Stores to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. We're talking Packers, Chiefs. Aaron Rodgers out with COVID. Jordan Love in, making his first career start for Green Bay. Mahomes said not going up against Rodgers is, quote, definitely disappointing. I'm sure deep down inside he was like, but definitely okay. Nonetheless, time to find out what Jordan Love can do. Nick, you said earlier you are incredibly nervous for this game. Why is that?
Oh, well, I'll explain why in just a moment, Jenna. I am disappointed we're not going to get to see Rodgers-Mahomes. 2 years ago, we were supposed to see it, and then Mahomes hurt his knee. Last year, we were supposed to get it in the Super Bowl, and then Brady pressed his pass interference on an obvious incompletion button to put me in the Super Bowl button. He only gets to use that once a year, but he used it at the right time, saved it up like the immunity shield in Survivor. And so we didn't get it in the Super Bowl. And this year, Rodgers COVID disaster, so we're not getting it right now. So that is disappointing. It is also disappointing because it adds a level of anxiety for me for this game that otherwise wouldn't exist. Which is, it is now in the same bucket as the Giants game, which is a loss is a total abject season ruining disaster, and a win is, you're playing Jordan Love. When, by the way, we have no idea if Jordan Love's good. I know the Packers liked him enough to spend a first-round pick on him, and we haven't seen him since. There is a level of unknown that is concerning to me. I don't think Jordan Love is Justin Herbert. But I do think last year, Wilds always goes to that when Justin Herbert played and almost beat the Chiefs last year as some indictment on the Chiefs. I think it was more It's an unknown player. They were totally preparing for something else, and now they've got to deal with it. And Justin Herbert ended up being actually really awesome, as we are seeing, even though it struggled the last few weeks. So here's why I'm anxious, Broussard. If the Chiefs win, they are in great shape, no matter what Kevin Wildes will tell you. If they win, they play to be in first place in the division next week. That's what it is. They beat the Packers. They play Vegas next week to a chance to be a half game out of first place, or whatever it is, but to have as many wins as anyone in the division. They'll be playing the Raiders in great position. If they win, they can say first half of the year, everything went against us. Now our defense is getting healthier. Mahomes isn't going to throw 20 interceptions this year. We're going to be fine. But if they lose to Jordan Love at Arrowhead, even if mathematically they are still clearly alive, it's not going to feel like that. And I feel like, Broussard, they would have played better against the Giants if the Giants were better. And by that I mean, I feel like they were playing not to lose against the Giants. I feel like they were playing not to make the mistake, and they still made the mistakes anyway. And so it's of course they would be more likely to lose if Rodgers were playing. But a loss wouldn't be nearly as devastating if Rodgers were playing. There would have been such a thing as a good loss. You lose 35-32 and Mahomes plays while Rodgers just has the ball at the end. You can build off that. The only way to build off this is to blow out the Packers. And even then, Broussard, I don't know if people will say anything other than, Jordan Love wasn't ready, he stinks. So that's why I'm nervous.
Well, let me ask you this quickly, Nick. Would you feel better if Aaron Rodgers were playing?
I would feel less anxious. I would feel like, hey, this is an opportunity for the Chiefs to show everyone they're still the Chiefs. Because if Rodgers were playing and the Chiefs won, then the whole league is on notice. And if Rodgers were playing and the Chiefs lost but played well, they could still say, hey, next week we play the Raiders to be a game out of first place, whatever it is. But it's just now there's no win here.
Look, it is so much better that Jordan Love is playing. And if you listen closely, maybe I'll calm your fears and you'll feel better. All right, as you head out to breakfast after the show. All right, no, they are in much better shape. They have caught the break of all breaks that Aaron Rodgers is not playing. I get it. You mentioned Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was replacing Tyrod Taylor. All right, I'd much rather have Jordan Love replacing Aaron Rodgers. And you are right in that if they blow out the Packers with Jordan Love, no one's going to say, oh, the Chiefs are back. But the win is the win, because you said it. They're 5-4. They head to Vegas with some confidence and a chance to take the lead in the division. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, and I disagree with you on saying a close loss to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers would have had people saying, uh-oh, they're back. No, and it wouldn't have been anything to grow off of, because they didn't grow off the close loss to Baltimore. They didn't grow off the other close losses they've had. They need a W, pure and simple, and they are in great position to get it. The one reason you should be nervous, Nick, is because, and I think deep down inside this is it, this is what's getting at you, is you know that this is about as close as we are going to get, or can get at this moment, to a moment of truth. If the Kansas City Chiefs lose this game, there is no more, get it together in the second half. There's no more future favorites on the tiers. There's no more one little pedestal for them on the tiers. You would just have to admit, like the rest of us,
it's a playoff game.
They're not that good. They're going to probably, if they beat the Raiders, they're going to lose to the Cowboys. Yes, that's what's got you nervous.
Wildes, I agree. That I didn't enjoy the Giants game even before the Chiefs started playing poorly. It's the same way. It was all downside, no upside. Now it's the same thing on Sunday, Wildes.
Look, Robert Kraft and Tom Brady and I welcomed you into the Dynasty Club. It was a short visit. Now you're back out. We're going to be the next Dynasty. Okay, you're here for about 20 minutes. Time for you to go. See you later. Anybody else want to come in?
Yeah.
Nope, just us. Sounds good. But I have good news for you. I don't think Jordan Love beats the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes beats the Chiefs. Oh, wow. Boom, gotcha. Here's why. 24% of your drives are ending in turnovers. It's worse than Jacksonville. It's worse than the Jets. It's worse than the Texans. Patrick Mahomes leads the league in interceptions. In my own unofficial stat, he leads the league in dumb interceptions. He's gone 7 straight games with an interception. He's never done that in the pros. He didn't do it in college. He didn't do it in high school. And Dusty is looking up stats to see if he ever did it. Street Nerf football. But we're going to have that by the end of the show, maybe on Monday. We'll see what happens. But there's a simple solution. Just make normal plays. Just make normal plays. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. Don't let Patrick Mahomes beat the Chiefs. I know it's hard medicine for you guys, but it's the truth. It's the truth, buddy. You know it.
You've got it, Wild. I can't say you've got it wrong. I just fundamentally disagree with you. I do think the Chiefs should take advantage of the way teams are playing them, meaning run the ball more than I would ever otherwise advise because teams are daring you to do it. I understand that. And I understand that part of it. But on pass plays, let Patrick Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes. We cannot be so reactionary to what is a bad month. It's not a bad season. It's been post the Eagles game that this has happened. Yes, 7 games, Wilds, I understand. But we also know what those picks were in the games prior. They were a perfect pass to Tyreek Hill through his hands. They were a perfect pass with Broussard sitting on my couch to the tight end that everyone crushed Mahomes for because there's no look, but it was a perfect pass through his hands. It's the last month that Mahomes has been bad. And if Steph Curry went through 2 weeks where all of a sudden he's shooting 18% from 3, you would not say, Steph, start taking mid-range jump shots. You've got to let him be who he's always been because he is not. Here's the thing. He's not the most precision passer in the league. The reason Jenny's the best quarterback in football is because of the risky stuff. You got to let him do it, Jenna.
Well, good luck to you, Patrick Mahomes. Have a great weekend, everyone.